It was a late, stormy night, and I was exhausted after a long day at work. I decided to take an Uber home, relieved to see the car pull up quickly. The driver's name was Jacob, and his profile picture showed a friendly smile. I settled into the back seat and immediately noticed the faint smell of lavender, likely from an air freshener. Jacob greeted me warmly, asking about my day. We chatted briefly, and I felt at ease. As we drove through the dimly lit streets, the rain pounded against the windows, creating a rhythmic but eerie sound. The streets were unusually empty, and the glow from the street lights cast long, haunting shadows. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with a notification. I glanced at it, a news alert about a recent spike in mysterious disappearances in the area. A shiver ran down my spine, but I tried to brush it off as just media hype. Jacob made a turn down a narrow, unfamiliar road, and my unease grew. I opened the Uber app to check the route and realized we were off course. Jacob, I think we're going the wrong way," I said, my voice trembling slightly. Jacob didn't respond immediately. After a moment, he said, "This is a shortcut. We'll be back on track soon." Despite his reassurance, my anxiety spiked. I watched the unfamiliar houses pass by, their windows dark and foreboding. A few minutes later, I noticed a figure standing by the roadside, drenched in rain and barely visible. As we approached, the figure raised a hand, trying to flag us down. Jacob slowed the car and looked at me through the rearview mirror, silently asking for my opinion. "Maybe we should help," I said, despite my better judgment. Jacob nodded and stopped the car. The figure, a young woman in a soaked white dress, approached the window. She looked cold and frightened. "Can you give me a ride? My car broke down," she pleaded, her voice barely audible over the rain. I hesitated, but then nodded. The woman climbed into the back seat next to me, her presence bringing an icy chill into the car. As we continued, the woman remained silent, staring straight ahead. I tried to engage her in conversation, but received no response. I noticed that the woman's clothes, though wet, looked outdated, like something from decades ago. Suddenly, the woman spoke. "Be careful on this road. Many have disappeared here." Her voice was distant, almost echoing. My heart raced. "What do you mean?" The woman turned to me, her eyes hollow and lifeless. "I was one of them," I gasped, and in that instant, the car's headlights flickered and the woman vanished. Jacob slammed the brakes, and we both sat in stunned silence. "What just happened?" Jacob whispered, his face pale. Still in shock, I reached for my phone and saw a new notification. It was an old news article about a woman who had gone missing years ago in a white dress. Her photo matched the woman we had just picked up. "We need to get out of here," I urged. Jacob nodded, and we quickly turned around, heading back to the main road. The tension in the car was thick, and neither of us spoke until we reached my neighborhood. "Thank you," I said, still shaken. I hurried out of the car, eager to be safe at home. As I walked to my door, I glanced back and saw Jacob's car still there, idling. The interior light was on, but Jacob wasn't in the driver's seat. Instead, the ghostly figure of the woman sat behind the wheel, staring at me with those hollow eyes. My scream pierced the night, and the car sped off, disappearing into the darkness. The next day, the news reported another disappearance. This time it was Jacob, the Uber driver. Have you ever had a ride that made your heart race? Share your scariest travel experience in the comments below.